So it's been quite a minute since I recorded a vlog, mostly because I am so pregnant and so tired. And, this is about as good as it gets these days. I'm all puffy and swollen and gross. So anyway, I thought that I would do a quick update on me. I'm 36 weeks pregnant and counting down the days until this little man makes his appearance. I'm so excited, but I feel like a planet and one that cannot circle the earth because I can't even get off the couch. So that's fun. But yeah, so I am super pregnant and just waiting to get to the point where I can start downing pineapple and long walks and spicy foods and whatever else is going to help this little man make his appearance in a few weeks. So I'm really excited about that. So my husband and I are still living on post, but he has made the decision that he's going to go reserves in when his contract's up this time. So he's on rear detachment right now, meaning that he doesn't go into the field and he's not going to deploy or go to NTC, which is amazing because he's supposed to be gone. They were supposed to be gone like 8 or 9 months out of the next year. So that sucks. But now that he's not decided he's not going to do that, so he gets to stay, which is super exciting. What else? My life is kind of boring. I'm just, waiting. But yeah, everything else is pretty good. My family is getting super psyched. And I am too. We got a cat named Nala. She's sweet. She's sleeping on the couch over there. So, alright. My vlog this week is going to be about tricare and pregnancy. There's a couple like weird things that I didn't really know, and I feel like it helps when you understand the process. Of course, this is coming from the Army perspective, as well as Colorado, Fort Carson, and Evans Army Hospital, and things might be a little bit different around the country or branch to branch or anything like that. But for the most part, TRICARE is pretty standard, so I thought that I would go through that. So the first thing that you do when you find out that you're pregnant is, of course, you would call the OBGYN clinic, and it turns out that they do not see you until you are 8 weeks or until you think you're 8 weeks. And then you go in and you have like this group appointment, and it's basically an intake where they get your pre-pregnancy weight, they get all your like medical history or family medical history, they take your blood pressure for the first time, and they do all that kind of stuff. And you sit there, and if you're a first-time mom, they have you stay back with all the other first-time moms, just talk about morning sickness and anything that's going on with you. My intake was hilarious. The nurse was so funny. But anyway, so yes, we get to you get to that, and then you go do your initial blood work. It took like 4 vials of blood. It was really a lot when I first got there, but yeah, so they do that, and then they give you your next appointment, which is about 12 weeks. And so you have to wait a month, and then you go in, and that's when you get your dating ultrasound, which is really fun because it's the first time that you get to see the baby. It's the first time you get to hear the heartbeat. So that was amazing. And all this time you sort of, like, they'll call you to remind you the day before your appointment and all that, but you get a pap smear done, and you get a full body exam done, you get blood pressure taken, you get urine samples taken, and you talk about whether or not you want to do genetic testing. So genetic testing, for me, we decided against everything except for the blood test because it didn't run in our families. Nothing ran in our families. We didn't have any cystic fibrosis or Down syndrome or anything like that in our families, so we decided not to take the risk of miscarriage when you have an amniocentesis, which basically means that they go inside your stomach and take a little bit of fluid from inside your uterus, and it comes with a little bit of a risk, but if that's something that you're into, then they will do that for you. Of course, everything is free. But they did end up taking blood for that appointment. And then the other thing that happens is that you start deciding who your midwife is going to be, whether you're going to see a midwife or a doctor. Most people see midwives at Evans. It's relatively the same everywhere, or so they say, but there's about 8 midwives on staff, and whoever is there at the time is going to deliver your baby. So I ended up seeing about 4 different ones. Some I really liked, some I really didn't like. Fortunately, the woman that I really didn't like left, so she will not be delivering my baby, which is good. But yeah, so I ended up seeing this lady for my 16-week appointment who was really not nice to me, actually. I had gained not very much weight at that point, but she was very rude about it and made me feel really bad about myself, and so I was really, really, really nervous when I went in after that, because I was so scared that they were going to yell at me, which is not the way that it should be, and they shouldn't make you feel that way. So I switched midwives, and she ended up leaving anyway, which was good, but I ended up switching midwives, so just keep in mind that that's always something that you can do. 16 weeks wasn't a huge appointment. It was just blood pressure and all of that kind of stuff. I found out that I did not carry any genes for cystic fibrosis or any of the genetic mutations, so my husband got out of giving blood, which he hates needles, so he was super excited about it. But so we found out that he was perfectly healthy, and I got to schedule my 20-week anatomy ultrasound. So this one, that happens in radiology. It doesn't happen at OB. So you have to go and do it separately. You have to wait until you're 20 weeks because they need to take like the leg bone measurements and the arm bone, and they do the head and all this stuff, and it has to be 20 weeks because otherwise you're not developed enough. So I went in for that, and it was, maybe an hour long, and it was a abdominal one, which is nice. But yeah, he just went through and showed me. I got to see the 4 chambers of the heart beating. It was so awesome. It was so cool. So that was awesome. And then yeah, so he told me that everything was fine. They're not technically supposed to tell you anything, but he said everything looked totally fine. And I actually skipped my 20-week appointment. You're supposed to go in and talk, but for some reason I just didn't get it scheduled, and then the next appointment they had was at 24 weeks. So I went in at 24 weeks, and she went over all my blood work. This ended up being my favorite midwife that I had. She went over all my blood work with me. She went over all my test results with me, which were all normal. And then she went over all the anatomy scan stuff with me, and they triple checked that it was a boy. I ended up going to a place in Colorado Springs called First Glimpse, which is like an elective ultrasound place. It was like $100. So I went in. I already knew it was a boy by the time I hit 20 weeks, but it was the 3rd time, so I knew that it was going to be a boy. Thank God. And so I did that, and she went through everything, took my blood, and answered a ton of questions. And by this point, I was kind of thinking about delivery a little bit, but not a lot yet. And so I started asking questions about like skin-to-skin contact right away or anything like that. So that was good. And then I went in at 28 weeks. Well, I think it was more like 27 weeks. And I went in and did my glucose test. Now, for that one, you have to go to the lab, and they have it in the system already, and you drink this gross drink, and you sit there for an hour, and then you get your blood drawn to see if you have gestational diabetes, which, thank God, I passed, and I did not have to do that, so I don't have any experience with that, but as far as I know, they send you to, like, a nutritionist, and you get on a diet, and all that kind of stuff, rather than go on insulin right away or anything like that. So I did that, and then I had an appointment the next day. I went in, and she just told me that I passed and took my blood pressure and weight and all of that stuff. So I had kind of a checkup. It was only like a 5 or 6 minute appointment. And then I went in at 31 weeks. Same thing, really, just blood pressure. They just kind of make sure you're okay. They do the heartbeat at every appointment now. Or they've done it at every appointment, but they just do it with a Doppler. They don't do an ultrasound at all after 20 weeks until the very, very end. So I heard the heartbeat, everything's great. He was kicking the little monitor thing. It was really funny. And so then that's where I am now. I am going to be 36 weeks in 2 days on Saturday. 3 days. No, 2 days. Sorry. Anyway, I'm going to be 36 weeks then. And my next appointment is not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. And I will be 37 weeks, 3 days at that point. And we're going to have our ultrasound to see if he's breech, which means feet first instead of head first, posterior, so like sunny side up, facing up instead of down. They're going to make sure that he's all ready for birth, and I'm going to start doing my paperwork for the hospital so I can just be admitted right away. And they already know all my preferences and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to try and do an unmedicated birth. And Evans actually has labor tubs, so I get to take baths and be in warm, relaxing water, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to get to do all of the paperwork for that and really talk about my preferences for birth. And then after that, you have an appointment every week just to make sure the baby's okay, see how dilated you are, see how effaced you are, which basically means how thin your cervix is. Which is sort of an indicator of labor, but really could go into it at any time. It can change like that. So yeah, as far as TRICARE goes, it's been super easy for me. Some people hate it. The appointment line is obnoxious, but as long as you just are on top of everything and really talk to your doctors, it's really not that big of a deal. If you have TRICARE Standard, or if you want to switch to TRICARE Standard, you can give birth at a hospital off post or not on any kind of a military hospital. There's some copays, but from what I hear from some of my friends or people that have gone through it, it's very low, and that way they get to be with people that maybe they see are more qualified, or just they're more comfortable with, or whatever it is that they want to switch for, or maybe it's just closer to their house, or whatever it is. That's definitely an option, and I can answer more questions about that. I also can direct you towards somebody who's been there for sure if you have any really super specific questions. Yeah, so basically everything's free. You just go in and show your ID. It's like a normal thing. My experience so far has been pretty good. I'm excited about moving on up in the process. So yeah, anyway, that's my experience with how to give birth when you are an army wife. And stay tuned, and hopefully I'll be sharing some cute baby pictures soon. Bye, guys.